from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. It's a lovely quote, isn't it? The problem is so many in recent times have gotten apprehensions as to what the logistics of it are. This tends to come along with quite a bit of absolutist tendencies. We need to provide everybody with their needs first. Well, what is a need? Why do you need a house? Why not a hut? Why not a tent? You could dig yourself a hole in the ground, put a piece of plywood over it, feed yourself 3 servings of Soylent each day, 8 cups of water, give yourself some doctor checks and you'd be fine. It wouldn't be a great life, but you know, it's a need. Yeah, it wouldn't be a great life at all. And the thing is, when communism was first theorized, tea-tin was never meant for bare survival. When Marx and later several others looked at the capitalist system, it was late into the Industrial Revolution, and what they found was quite interesting. In previous societies, it was a trial to get your needs met. Nearly all work had to be done by hand labour. You had some inventions to help the workload, like the plough, the spinning wheel, and the printing press, though all of these were created over a 1,000-year stretch, and still didn't change the overall structure as to how work was managed. But 19th century England was different. In a relatively short period of time, machines were being built that were rapidly transforming the structure of society. It was the handing over of manual labour to mechanization. The staple of this revolution, a steam engine that actually works, powers trains, boats, and most importantly, the factories, which withheld all of these great inventions. No longer would you be confined to the bank of a river, factories could now be placed anywhere you had fuel. Agriculture used to require 90% of the population, and by the end of the century it had halved. Did I even mention the revolutionary steel processes? Buildings could now be built cheaper and faster, and when the elevator came along, you could build them taller. All of these creations reduced the amount of time and effort necessary to make things of all variety. Socialists do not hate these inventions. Not even the Luddites. These things are your saviours. But the problem that socialists found was that people could just get thrown into the garbage bin when the owner of these things saw it good for him. And because they're all owned by a small few and sold at a ransom demand, that's by the way what a price tag is, these people would go without. These machines that could make everybody's lives equally easier were instead being used to increase the wealth of a small elite, the landowners. Tea-tin does not mean let's just make for base survival. What was implied was simply a different way of doing things. Doing things not for profit first, as done in the capitalist system, but doing things for needs first. We needn't worry ourselves as to what counts as a need, rather we just need to simply look at the structure that we live in and see if we can do it differently. Today, we make enough food for about 12 billion people. Yet 4 billion of this is either wasted or dumped each year, and 1 billion people around the world go hungry. You'd probably think that if those billion were in control of the food production, they'd probably steam a good ham.
You call hamburgers steamed hams?
Yes.
But because the profit motive is in place instead of the needs motive, people with property will fend for themselves because of greed. If you are curious, however, we can come to some rough calculation of what is more of a need. If there's lead in your water, what is more important? Your boot-ins or clean water? If you're hungry, what is more important? A Ferrari or a sandwich? If there's a shortage of clothing, what is more important? Diamond rings or... You get the idea. Those 3 former things I said are all products of capitalism. They most probably wouldn't exist if it weren't for capitalism. And unlike what some might say, that's not necessarily a good thing. When the diamond industry is worth $13 billion, but African children only have 1 pair of clothes, we've got a problem. When the car industry is worth $1 trillion, but most people can't do anything but walk, we've got a problem. And when the clothing industry is worth $3 trillion, but Flint residents can't even get clean water, we've got a problem. All of that wealth, all of that production and industry could provide these things for everyone, even though they're completely unrelated to each other. But the middle class of the world is suckered into this with huge marketing campaigns, themselves costing a pretty penny. Fuck's sake, 40% of Batman and Superman's budget was spent on getting people to watch it. Side note, what do you think would grant more opportunities and innovation? A $400 million movie that we knew was going to suck, or thousands of people who wanted to make budgeted films but can't because they got bills to pay? All things considered, if we got rid of all the bullshit in our lives and shared time equally, working hours would shrink massively. This isn't even a pipe dream. During Kropotkin's time, that might have been around 25 to 30 hours a week. But we don't live in the post-industrial revolution. We live in the information age, where knowledge is cheap and readily available, and work is even less of a necessity. Today, with modern inventions like the computer, internet, autos, and robots, my best estimates are anywhere between 4 to 15 hours of work a week. Imagine that! All you need to survive and thrive in only a few hours of quality time cooperatively working. Capitalism already overproduces in its corporate, profit-driven, hierarchical, neurotic, bureaucratic state. If we, that's us, everybody who works for these places, could harness those machines, we'd be doing pretty damn good for ourselves. That's what Teton means, not a scramble for definitions, a transforming of society from these guys to us.